Hi guys, I'm Saumya and I am back with another video. So if you are a book lover and a reader, then you should definitely subscribe to my channel, because on this channel I make loads of bookish content. And if you like this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it, and do not forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. In today's video, I'm going to be recommending 10 books to you guys that you can pick up this winter because they're great reads. I mean, the reason for my choosing these 10 books for this video is because of the vibe of these books and their stories. I mean, these are good books, so obviously a good book can be enjoyed in any season. But the thing is that certain kind of books become even more enjoyable when they are read during a certain season. So let's get into the video. So I'll start by recommending Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I feel that this is essentially a winter read because firstly the genre of this book is both fantasy as well as horror combined. So it's a story about a man named Richard who unwittingly becomes a part of this dangerous adventure by unsuspectingly helping a girl named Dor. D-O-O-R, Dor is the name of this girl. Also, this story is taking place in London, but it is not the London as we know it. It is actually the London Underground, which is the underground city beneath the actual London. Anyway, Richard becomes a part of this dangerous adventure that he did not ask for. I have to give this disclaimer to you guys that this book has the tendency to get really creepy from time to time, because as I told you, it also contains the elements of the horror genre. Neverwhere is full of a lot of unbelievable characters and a lot of unbelievable events that unfold, and also it is full of a lot of suspense, things taking place that you did not expect to happen. Within no time, you get very immersed in this book. The next book is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So this is the first book in the series. There are 6 books so far, and the first book literally blew my mind. So the genre of this book is science fiction, and this book is also very heavy on comedy. I listened to this as an audiobook, and I have to tell you that I was laughing very frequently because this book is hilarious. The reason for recommending this in winters is that it is full of a lot of adventures, or rather misadventures, of the only surviving man named Arthur Dent, because he is the last man who survived the demolition of the planet Earth by the Vogons. He was saved by his friend Ford Prefect. So this is a story about what Arthur experiences as he travels the galaxy after his planet Earth has been demolished. So many incredible events take place in the story, and this book induces so much laughter. The next book is The Devil and Miss Pea by Paulo Coelho. So the story is taking place in a remote village called Viscos, where nothing really truly happens. People lead very ordinary and mundane lives, but one day a stranger comes to stay in the only hotel in this remote village, and immediately he's a topic of interest for everybody. So much so that the hotel barmaid, a young girl called Chantal, decides to run into him deliberately, but she regrets her decision because he reveals his true intention to come to Viscos, which is to find out the answer to the question of whether human beings are inherently evil or not if they are presented with suitable temptation. So this story definitely has a very dark and a gloomy vibe, perfect for a winter read, and also there is an air of anticipation and apprehension as to what is going to happen in the story, and also the entire setup of the story is such that you look forward to reaching the conclusion. The next book is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. So the genre of this book is historical fiction, and this is based on a true story of a man named Leil Sokolov who was a prisoner in the Auschwitz concentration camp. He was sent there in 1942 and he came out in 1945. So he was a tattooist and he used to tattoo his fellow prisoners. So on one such occasion, his eyes fell on a fellow prisoner who was a girl, and she was obviously very scared, but he fell in love with her and she also reciprocated his feelings. So Leil Sokolov decided that not only is he going to survive, but he is going to save himself and he will save her also. So as I said, the genre of this book is historical fiction, fiction being the keyword here. So please do keep in mind that Heather Morris must have taken liberties with the actual events and changed them according to the story to fit the requirements of the story, but otherwise this is a mind-blowing, incredible story that you are not able to put down. This is a story of love, bravery, courage, and also a lot of resourcefulness on Leil Sokolov's part. The next book is A Face in the Dark by Ruskin Bond. So this book is a collection of short stories that have paranormal elements in them. So this book is very comfortably scary, which means that you stay in your comfort zone while reading it, but you also get a little bit scared. This is the book for those people who are too scared to pick up a proper horror novel, but they do want to try something that is going to increase their heartbeat just a little bit, just make them a tiny bit uncomfortable and spooked out, because the element of scary and spookiness in these stories is just right. They are not too bland, but they are not too horrifying also. And needless to say, there is Ruskin Bond's flawless writing, and then there is the element of nature in this book as well. The next book is All the Lives We Never Lived by Anuradha Roy. This is easily one of the most gentle and one of the most beautiful stories that I've ever read. It really slowly settles in your heart. It grips your heart literally. So the major chunk of the story is taking place in the 1930s in an imaginary town called Muntazir, before India's independence obviously. It's a story about a little boy named Mishkin Rosario who is 9 or 10 years old, and it's a story about his mother as well, Gayatri Rosario. So Gayatri Rosario is married to Mishkin's father, but she's not exactly happy with her life because she is a free spirit and she feels trapped. So she ends up running away to Dutch East Indies or Bali with a German man. So this is a story about how Mishkin leads his life after his mother leaves, and it's also a story about how Gayatri leads her life after she runs away. This story is such a work of genius that you empathize with both Mishkin and Gayatri. The story has been so beautifully woven in terms of the human emotions and in terms of how it unfolds. If you haven't read this book, you're really missing out on something so beautiful. The next book is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. So the genre of this book is magical realism, and the story begins with a French family that lives in a small village in France. The man of the family decides that if they want to grow in life, they need to leave their small village and move to this magical place called Manhattan. That's how he pronounces it. He's actually thinking about Manhattan in New York in the United States. So they make their way to Manhattan, but they are greeted by a very, very difficult life. The cover of this book says, "Love makes us such fools." So that is the main theme of the story. It has been narrated by Ava Lavender, and this story talks about the love lives of the women in Ava Lavender's family. It's a story that talks about the misfortunes that they face, and overall it's a very sad story. So it's very heavily on your heart, but the writing is very poetic. The story on the whole is very whimsical. The characters in this book are unusual. You see, they have something special about them. It's a perfect winter read, I feel, because I myself had read this one in the winters around 2 years back, and I was not disappointed. The next book is The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami. So this is a story in which a boy goes to a library to return the books that he had borrowed with the intention of borrowing new books. So he is directed to a room number 107, where he comes across a very strange old man. The boy feels uncomfortable immediately and wants to run away, but the old man intimidates him. The boy finally gives in and tells the old man about the books he wants to borrow, and from here on the story begins. The theme of this story is loneliness, and through this story this theme has been expressed very, very effectively. If you read Murakami, this book won't come as a surprise to you, although in my personal opinion this book is very unusual even by Murakami standards. I had actually listened to this story as an audiobook. It was 1 hour long, so it was no bother at all. The next book is Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows by Bali Kaur Jaswal. So this story is taking place in London, and it very specifically focuses on the Sikh community in Southall in London. So 22-year-old Nikki wants a job, and when she sees an opening and a vacancy for a job to teach creative writing to old Punjabi widows in a temple, she leaps at the opportunity. But then when the day for the class finally arrives, she discovers to her dismay that these women do not even know how to write basic ABCD. So obviously they cannot write their own stories, but that does not deter these Punjabi widows from telling their stories, because they have a lot of stories to share, and wild ones at that, because the kind of stories that these women share are quite sexual in nature. On one hand, this is a very liberating story about women who are generally sidelined by the male members of their family, and this is another one of those books that is going to induce a lot of laughter on your part. This book is not frivolous or preposterous, because there is also a dark topic that it deals with. The next one is Clouds by Chandrahas Chaudhary. Now I have been recommending books that are dark and that are essentially wintry, but I'm recommending this book and its vibe is very, very different from the other books that I've recommended. This book is all warm and sunny, mainly because the story is taking place in the city of Mumbai, and when you think about Mumbai, you think about pleasant weather. So it's a story about two characters who do not really cross each other's paths in this book. They have their own separate stories going on. So the first character we read about is Farhad Bile Moria, who's about to turn 42, he is a Parsi psychotherapist. He has wrapped up his practice in Mumbai and he is about to leave for San Francisco. And then the other character we read about is a youth named Rabi, who is from a tribal community from Odisha. He is in Mumbai taking care of two elderly Odia Brahmins, Ija and Ui. This is not the kind of story that can be read in a single sitting because it moves at a leisurely but enjoyable pace. There are many profound moments in the book in terms of the discussions that take place between the characters. There are many vivid descriptions of certain situations. Also, there are some rather amusing moments that come in this book from time to time that are just very entertaining to read. So that's it. These are the 10 recommendations from my side for you guys to pick up during this winter and enjoy. These are some great books. I have tried to keep a variety in this recommendation video. I hope you like that, and if you like this, do not forget to give this a thumbs up and also share it. And if you want to connect with me on my social media, the links are in the description. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye and take care.